G'day guys, Luke here. Welcome back to another video. In today's video guys, we are doing the Reptile update for October 2024. This is part 2. We are in the safe room once more. Let's check out all the critters and see the new updates that we've made to the room. For today's video guys, we'll be starting with Aaron and Snickers. Now these are two of several children prizes we have in the family. The one we're looking at here is Aaron. Since the reshuffling, she's eaten, which is a good sign. She didn't really care about the rearrangement, or she's settled into the new area she's in, or it is really was just a slide across the shelf where she is, so she didn't much care. The partner crime here, Snickers, was very much the same. Even though she was in deep shed, Aaron was still hungry enough to decide to have rid of a bit of tucker. So she shed her skin since then, or in between feeding in the recording session, so she's looking absolutely beautiful. However, she doesn't want to show her face today, but both snakes here are doing well. They are both housed in a 1 metre enclosure, so it's about just over 3 foot in length. In the enclosure itself, we do have the aspen bedding as a substrate, 2 rock hides for them to hide into. Got a fake rock stack here. There's about 3 places for them to hide in. So the Aaron's in 1, and there's 2 just here in the corner. Water bowl, fake plants, branches. We do have heating and a light strip that goes through the room. The temperatures in here are all set at 30 degrees Celsius on the thermostats. So it could be 30 to 32 degrees on the hot spot, while the cool end is in the low 20s. For those who use Fahrenheit, 30 degrees Celsius is 86 degrees Fahrenheit, and I think it'll be about the high 70s, I believe, or mid 70s for Fahrenheit for the cool end. Now that just looks menacing there, Charles. So Charles here is my albino Darwin carpet python. She's doing quite well, eating more regularly these days, which is a good thing. Even though their food items are still small, something is better than nothing in my eyes, and I just hope one day she does decide to go back to bigger food items so she can grow to a nice size. However, she's just doing fine on the smaller food items, and she's still healthy, at least. She's still housed in this 90cm enclosure. Let me just get the camera back out. Here we go. So in the enclosure, guys, we have her aspen bedding, 2 hides, a fake plant and a vine to add for decoration, water bowl, her backing, her hammock, and she's got heating, and yet again we've got that light strip running through the enclosure. In this 180cm enclosure, so 6 foot enclosure, houses our big friendly giant, you could say. Before we get to our big friendly giant, let's talk about the enclosure first. So in the enclosure, we've got the aspen bedding as a substrate. We do have a deeper end over here, so the snake in question can burrow through. We've got 2 massive hides for her to hide into, water bowl, fake plant, branch, backing, display light, and heating. For those who know who it was, no introduction, but for those who are new to the channel, this is Chris. Chris here is my black-headed python, looking very, very pretty today, even though she hasn't shed her skin, I can't remember last time, at least a couple of months. Every time I open this up, her head shines in the camera thanks to the torch. When you have no food, she's very friendly. However, as soon as she smells food, she becomes an absolute terror. What I mean by that is she becomes very unpredictable, and she hits like a ton of bricks. But once after food, she's a handful to deal with, even to get her back in the cage. And she's a very strong snake too, so I've got to be careful. However, when there's no food, she's indeed a very friendly snake. Just below Chris, in the same size enclosure, we have Ray. Now Ray here is my Rosenberg monitor. Doing very well for himself. He's just chilling at the moment after a bit of a feed. Had 3 lovely quails to eat today, so he's just kind of, well, he was sleeping it off, but now since I'm talking, he's working up. Handling whites, he's getting much better. I can at least pat him without him trying to bite me. He will still kind of storch me, or he would hiss at me. We're still unsure of each other, like he's not too sure if I'm going to hurt him, or as well with me thinking he's going to bite me. He does have a good solid bite on him, so I had to get bitten by him again. But saying that, we are making progress, so that's a good update to say. In his enclosure, we do have his rocks and his hide that is sitting underneath his heat. Fake plants, backing, substrate says coconut fibre. I am thinking about switching over to sand. We do have his hammock, his branch, water bowl, and these LED UVB light bars from Get Your Pet Right, obviously for UVB. When we've gone from our biggest goanna we have in the family to our smallest, it is kind of a big shock in the size difference, but you get that between species. This little character here is Rosie. Now Rosie here is my Reptile monitor. Had 5 or 6 superworms early today, so he's just also, I guess, digesting that. He was running a bit feral this morning, waiting for food, but once he had his food, he calmed down. He is still shy, still a bit skittish, still got a lot to work on with him. But at least him being a smaller animal, I don't have to worry about getting bitten. It's just him escaping, that's the main worry. But he's doing fantastic. He's housed in a 120cm enclosure, so 4-foot enclosure. In the enclosure, sanity substrate. Got his fake rock stack, fake plants, got his branches. That hide over there does have wet sand in there, so you can kind of burrow into and get a bit of humidity. His water bowl next to it, and also got his heat and UVB. The pair of 60cm or 2-foot enclosures that we're looking at the moment houses 2 of my children pythons, or antirrhesus I should say. The one on the left hand side houses my male blonde spotted python Caesar. The one on the right hand side houses my younger children python Valentino. We'll get to Caesar first. Now, unfortunately, he's not much of a show today. He's classified him as a no-show. You can't see his body just in the hide there. He's normally a very defensive snake, so I don't like to disturb him or get him out. You want to eat inside his enclosure, so he's more or less a display animal. The only snake I have never really had the chance to tame down or, I guess, train. He's just never taken well to it, so I thought, instead of stressing him out for no reason, I thought, leave him be. Let him live out his life, and he's still part of the family. His enclosure, guys, we do have aspen bedding as his substrate. 3 places for him to hide in. 2 on the ground, 1 suspended. On the left-hand side, he does have a heat pad keeping him warm. We've got his fake plants, we've got his branches. He's got his water bowl, fake plant, his backing and his light strip that he shares with his neighbour Valentino. Valentino we can show, he's usually a little ambush prankster. So let's say g'day to him. Don't you think about it, you little demon. Here he is. Let me just get the camera to focus. There we go. So Valentino, he was born on Valentine's Day 2022. That's given the name Valentino. Still got a lot of growing to do. He's probably about half the size he's going to grow up to. Very much like his dad in appearance and attitude when it comes to feeding. But when I get him out, he's quite sweet, like his mum, who we'll get to later on in the video. But he's doing very well, as you can see. Let me just close this door so we don't lose the little guy. Pretty much the same size enclosure like I mentioned. Pretty much very similar to Caesar in the setup with the substrate and branches. A little different when it comes to the ornaments, like his hides. He's got his heat pad on the left hand side like Caesar. He's got his fake rock stack here with another hide on top of it. Usually he likes to use the fake rock stack as an area to ambush from to get me when I get the water bowl. So he does bite me every now and again because of that. So I have to start tub feeding him soon to go and get him out of that habit of biting me in the enclosure. But overall, you can see he's doing fantastic. On the top shelf of these shelving units, we have our 2 brown tree snakes, Willow and Diablo. Even though they're the same species, they are polar opposites of each other. Before we showcase the 2 individuals, their enclosures are both 70 centimeters long, so just over 2 foot in length. In enclosures, we've got their backing, just different styles. We've got branches, fake plants, hides, water bowl, aspen snake bedding as a substrate, heat pads, and a light strip that they share. This character here is Willow. She's the skinnier, more feistier brown tree snake we have, which is kind of a common theme with these snakes being a very shy and aggressive species, or defensive, not so much aggressive. If she doesn't eat the next couple of feeds, I might have to start assist feeding her. Currently she's in shed, so I kind of don't want to disturb her too much. But if I wake her up, she'll start launching and carrying on like a fruitcake. Still love her to pieces, just need to spend a bit more time with her and see if I can tame her down. That is certainly a challenge in itself. However, her partner in crime that I've had for about 4 years now is Diablo. Diablo, like I said, he's the polar opposite. He's much more bigger, he's girthier, and he's much more friendlier. This guy, he will eat on a regular basis. Usually he will have 3 fuzzy mice. Sometimes he will beg for more, but obviously just making sure he doesn't get too fat. As these species of snake are usually quite a skinny snake, pretty much a big nope rope. But he's very friendly. I've handled him since he was young, and he's overall a very good brown tree snake. Very surprisingly, that I was able to train him and actually develop a good bond with him. We are on to the last shelving unit in this room. This is where we kind of had the big shake up in this room lately, so just a quick pan what it looks like now before we get into the actual animals. So up here we've got Atrum and Aurelia, who are my two diamond pythons. Turns out both of them are male, so kind of sucks, but you know what, I still love them to bits, and both snakes are quite gorgeous. The reason why I downsized them was the heating was a bit inconsistent. 1 minute be 30, next minute be 25, then be 35. It was just, for the 6 foot enclosure that they were in, it was just a bit weird for some reason. As well, Atrum was showing signs of RI, so I thought maybe downsizing him might help prevent that. And it has somewhat worked, even though Atrum is yet to settle into this new cage, as he hasn't eaten yet. Aurelia here doesn't seem to mind. He's been eating. Well, he's eaten since we moved him in here. It's just a shame that the camera doesn't pick up how yellow he is, really. But saying that's still a beautiful snake. Unfortunately, Atrum here is a no-show. So you can see part of his body there, but that log on top is a bit of a pain to move. So we'll just leave it be. So these guys are now housed in a 4 foot enclosure, so 120 centimetres. In the enclosure itself, we've got the aspen as a substrate. 3 hides for them to go into. They've got their branches, their vine, backing, heating, UVB, and a water bowl. All the essentials that they need to carry on with life. The shelf down below Atrum earlier, we have Chappie and Orchid, who are my two central carpet pythons. I should add my breeding pair. Chappie's in the corner over here, he's just vibing out. Currently in the shed, however, he's been eating. He's slowly getting the weight back on, and hopefully he does continue to do so. Basically because he looks like a stick or a twig compared to Orchid, who's like a bloody log. So hopefully after the shed he'll eat again and will slowly gain his size or his weight again. Orchid here is an absolute pig. She'll just continue to eat. Sometimes she'll have one extra large rat, sometimes she might have 2 depending if Chappie or one of the other snakes doesn't want it. When she comes to food, she is quite feral. But when she gets out of the enclosure for a bit of a play, she doesn't seem to mind it. So luckily she's friendly in that regard. But she's a handful. I have seen these two lock up, so hopefully we have some more eggs again later on in the year. That'll certainly be announced when that happens, so keep an eye out. Both snakes are housed in another 4 foot enclosure, so basically very similar to Atrum and Aurelia. Got 2 big hides for them to hide into. They've got their branches, they've got a water bowl, fake plants, heating, and just a light strip to display the enclosure. That's really about it for these guys, really. On the bottom shelf, we have Emma and Zilla, who are my breeding pair of children pythons. Both snakes are doing quite well, but before we actually showcase the snakes, the enclosure is an 80 centimeter enclosure, so just shy of 3 foot. In the enclosure, we've got the bedding, water bowl, 3 hides, a next box, fake plant, a backing, light strip, and a heat pad. A couple of branches, if I have not mentioned that. Emma is a very protective young man. He loves his girl, very protective of his territory. Here he is, or here they are. So this one here that I'm touching, that's Emma. He's a boy. This beautiful girl here in shed is Azula. Now I'm hoping this is her pre-lay shed, indicating she will lay eggs maybe next month or month after. And hopefully in the new year we have more babies. This is their 4th year breeding. So I'm just going to keep an eye on Azula. If she's too skinny after this, I might just pull her out and have her in her own little house to gain weight. For me, breeding is just the fun part. It's something very rewarding for me. And normally my animals' health comes first. If they're just too skinny for my liking, or I don't think they're capable of breeding yet again, that's when I will separate them. So both snakes here are doing well. And we've got one more cage to deal with. On to our very last snakes of the reptile room. In here we have Superstar and Graham. Before we actually show the 2 girls in here, this is an enclosure, so it's another 3 foot enclosure, so 90 centimetres. In the enclosure, they've got a water bowl, they've got their substrate, branch, rock, fake plant, piece of wood, 3 hides, they've got a backing, a light, and heating. It'll be 15 years next March I've had Superstar, and these 2 girls will be 15 at the end of the year. So these were my first ever reptiles, and kind of how this hobby sort of continued. I've always had an interest in reptiles since I was a baby. It didn't really start kicking off until I was about 9 years old with this girl here. So Superstar here is my first ever snake. She's still off food, but she's still quite healthy, still quite girthy. So hopefully she'll start eating again soon. Graham here was a second snake, only got her a couple months later, and there's only a month difference between birthdays with these two. So Graham here just started eating again recently, so she's earlier than normal. However, she went off food earlier this year than normal, so makes sense she's eating again earlier. Both snakes are very well tempered, never had a problem with them, and overall it's just, yes, this is how it all started. But other than that, they're both doing fantastic. So I'm sorry I'm getting a bit carried away. That'll be it for today's video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you all for watching, and I'll catch you all in the next video.